Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth devlog. Yes, fourth devlog, but titled number 3? Why? Because we're programmers and we start our count from 0. But why do I use Lua? Very ironic indeed. Not sure if you guys remember the workflow when it comes to adding now new rooms or scenes in my game. Takes a lot of back and forth with define item in code, place via DevTools in runtime, update hard-coded values in code, rinse and repeat. For me, we already have a good and working assets pipeline, but it could be improved to be better. A better asset pipeline would include a lot of automations and less manual moving, generation, hard coding, and so on. But for now, since we have a deadline, really? We might just do this thing called hat reloading. What's hat reloading? Basically, if you update anything in the code, it should also reflect in the game in runtime without restarting the game. Sounds pretty easy. Well, kind of. There's already a lot of hat reloading modules or libraries out there for Love2D and Lua, but in our case, I just want it to be simpler. I want it to, when I run the game, if asset data code changes, do note that it's the data like position, values, not the texture. When I press a very special key like R, it will read the current data file, compare it with current state. If not the same, update current state with the new data. Easy. Okay, so this debug function should probably be room system, since the system manages reading and loading the data and creating the room bounds and room object. Whoops! What's that sound? Oh, it's the ECS versus OOP police. Apparently, I was supposed to say entities instead of objects. Got it. Here's how I implemented it.
So let's implement that. What we're going to use is resources, or we cannot just do resources. Let's just do self that current res. This will be nil, and here we're going to say self that current res is equals to that one. So for this one, we want to log that as well. So res and then self that current res. So we should be able to see that when we press H. Yeah, we can see that here. Now we want to get the list because this is what we want. This atlases room name and then items. So we're going to get that from here. This will be of the current res. Then we can just look through that list. So data in iPairs list. So let's see if we can print the name of that one. I press H. So yeah, as you can see here it prints that, but we get name because some of them doesn't have name. Some have ID only. So let's do that. Then we can loop over the self that pool which contains the let's create that, which contains the ID and room item components. Then they have their own ID. So yeah, let's do this. So if ID is equals to the name or ID is equals to data.id, then let's print that found match ID. So let's press that again. As you can see, we get some matches. Let's remove this. Now let's try changing the data, and let's try changing this from before we do that, we should probably add the print statements. Let's do e.id. So let's print the entity's position, and then let's print the data's x and y. So let's run that. So it's in runtime, and then let's change the data from 72 to 73. And let's hit the hot reload button, which is H. And as we can see here, it doesn't read the new data. And that is because when we do this call require, it does caching. So maybe what we want is load. Maybe we want load file or load string. loads a chunk from the given string or load file. Let's see. Maybe we don't want load file, but if I remember correctly, let's try it. List to I'm coming from Golang, so we use and then the file string will be, let's just copy this here and then print is to an error, and let's, so it cannot be opened because we're using dots, which is for Lua paths, but not the actual file path. So atlas items, and then I believe it's going to be Lua. Yeah, so still we cannot open this. No such file or directory. Maybe because we do want to add the source. There you go. So it is a function, right? So why is this a function? So if it's not equals to nil, sorry guys, I'm so used to Golang, then we do error here, and let's try calling that if error. Yeah, so it is a table, so maybe we can now use this as this one instead of this one. Let's if list row list, let's just name this row list. If row list equals to nil, then we should probably invalid file. Then let's do this, and there you go. So it still prints that. So let's try returning this to 72, and let's try hitting H again. And so as you can see here, so yeah, that works correctly. So now we can do is we want to update the position. So if we can do each check, or we can just do e.pos.x equals to data.x and y. And what else do we need? The z, I forgot z index, yeah. So we have z index.value. Is this correct? Yeah. So yeah. So let's try it with this one. So let's try moving the what is that? The door left from 56 to 0, as well as the y to 32. So hit save, and then let's press H. And for some reason, it hang again. So I thought I've already fixed that before, but apparently it's still the same. Okay, so let's run this again. So the door should be broken here. Then let's return. Then let's undo that change. Let's press H. Yes, there you go. So works correctly now.
But that's still kind of a manual thing. I hear you protest. You're right. Another way to simplify it is do automatic hot reloading, like the system will listen or watch for the files, and then the file change events, and then intercept that, and then emit some events, and then run the hot reload function. But that's for another day. It's just a single key press though, don't worry. Remember the previous multi-pages, very technical, verbose, and amazing docs I've written to make adding new rooms easier? Turns out it was very helpful. I've referenced that and designed the new Office 2 room. It will be a good thing to show how we can move from room to room. Currently, when player interacts with a door, the door system does its magic. Get the door item ID and current room ID. Check the door's data, which is a Lua table, for the key matching the current room ID. Check that subtable for item ID. If okay, move to that room. But another thing to consider is, where should the player move to or spawn? After all, when a player opens a door, he shouldn't be teleported to a random area. Player like, wait, what? What happened? Good thing we have spawn player function in the player controller system. Now we have teleportations, doors and objects or entities. I hear the OOP police sirens. We now need to make them interactive. I already have a working interaction and dialogue system, but it's honestly a mess. If a thing is complex and scattered around, what do devs do? Drum roll please. Refactor. Yay! So for dialogue system, there's a lot of good things out there. There's Talkies, which I've used for Game Jam before. There's Love Dialogue, which looks great and powerful, but I don't want or I don't like to deal with its own scripting language or format. There's Babel, which I believe is great because Tejaka wrote it, Tejaka, I don't know, who also wrote Concord, which is the ECS framework I'm using. I realized that saying ECS also sounds like easiest. But apparently, he's a greater dev than I am because look at the readme, look at the documentation. Wow. Then there's Love Inc., which I find suitable for my needs. It just uses Lua tables for the dialogues. It has helpers and UI right out of the box. I fork it in case I need to enhance it to suit my needs. Compare how I do dialogue data before versus now. I really like how there are helper functions included in the library for easier dialogue making. So after making dialogues work and getting the hang of it, it is time to update the player interaction to spawn the dialogue. And here we go. Dialogue spawning at player interaction. And here's when there are choices. The thing is, the provided Love Inc. choices work on mouse events. But for this game, I would like to avoid mouse as part of the gameplay. Now I have two choices. Yes or I'm scared. Just kidding. Either create my own functionalities and not use Love Inc.'s provided helpers. Since I forked Love Inc., I might directly modify that. But for now, I'll park it again. And that's it. This devlog contains a lot of things. I hope you've learned a lot and enjoyed it. Oh, let's not forget the motto. A new system, a new dev tool. So sit back, relax, and watch me make more dev tools. Just kidding. Oh, and a lot of you has been viewing this are not subscribed yet, so please hit that like button and subscribe. It means a lot to small indie game developers like me and my team. So please subscribe. I will not end this video unless you subscribe. Just kidding. For the next devlog, it's going to be a lot because there's now going to be more work with the gameplay, and I know it's hard to communicate it, but it will be very exciting. I'm excited. We're all excited. Finally, there's a direction and good progress for this game. Thanks everyone.